Hey, 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 you know what day it is. What day is it? It's Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. It's Tuesday Tea with D. 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 Hey, boo, hey, it's your girl, Deetra Trueheart, your life purpose generator, purpose provoker, I Speak Life mentor, here with another serving of what? Tuesday Tea with D. If you are here, let me know you are here. Say, hey, girl, hey, in the chat. Hey, Ramilda. Hey, Tamala. How are you? Good evening. Nope, it's not good evening. Good afternoon, child. It'll be good evening a little later. But good afternoon. Hey, Adri, how are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank y'all for coming in. We are live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok. So choose your pleasure, however you want to join in. I feel like, I've been talking to y'all all day because I have. We were live earlier today with day 16 of my 30-day live stream challenge. And so if you have not heard, I've been live every single day on Facebook and TikTok. And every single day there's a new prompting. And today's prompting was around failure. My biggest lessons around failure. And we had a good conversation. Would y'all say? Ramilda was here, Tamala was here, Adri was here. If you were here on any of the other platforms, if you were on Facebook or TikTok and you joined us this morning, let me know. But we had a really good conversation. And so we're just going to continue this conversation. And before we continue this conversation, I have a couple of church announcements that I want to share with you all. And so even I will share them on TikTok, but you won't be able to see the visuals. But I want to make sure I share this now so that I can get this out of the way, and then I will share it again at the end. But I want to share it now for those who will pop in specifically on the replay. If you are watching on the replay, make sure you type in hashtag replay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending upon where you are watching from on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and TikTok. I know the TikTokers won't be on the replay, but we'll just say it anyway. So first thing that I want to share is most of you know that my live event is coming up in December. And so I want to make sure that you have the details for that. This is my live event. It is called I Speak Life Live. It is my 3-day transformational spirit-led event for high capacity, high achieving, and high performing and busy women of faith who are ready to unplug, rediscover their dreams, anchor their faith, and reconnect with themselves and God. And so if you find yourself in that space, if you have found yourself where you are literally like, "Ooh, I cannot wait to take a breather at the end of this year so that I can get ready for the new year," this is the event that you want to come to. This is the event that women who pour heavy come and they allow themselves to be poured into. And so you want to be in the room, right? So you can go to I Speak Life Live, I Speak Life Live. If you are watching this on TikTok, you can go to the link in my bio to get the details for that. All right. Next thing that I am going to share is happening next Thursday. It is happening, excuse me, next Thursday. I am doing a 2.0 version of this. This was my Know Your Limit, Prioritize You, Prioritize Rest Masterclass. As it says on the screen, you've been running on empty, showing up for everyone else while secretly feeling exhausted. It's time to stop pushing past your limit, right? And so we talk about rest. We talk about, and I'll put this banner up here as well so you can go to register. The one thing that I will say about this link Can you hear me now? Can y'all now? Take a this tea. Yes. Okay. Ciao. All right. So I was sharing all of the details around I Speak Life Live, my live event, and the details around my masterclass. I am not going to go back over that again. But I shared the information. You saw it on the screen. We're going to be in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, December 5th, 6th, and 7th for my live event for high capacity, high achieving, high performing women of faith, busy women, right? And so this is the event that you come to when you have poured heavy for the year, but you really need to refill, right? And so I read all the things. Y'all could not hear it. It's so funny. I don't know why y'all couldn't hear, because my microphone wasn't muted or anything. Maybe I hit it by accident when I swapped it out. I don't know. But the other part is I am doing, the sound went out when you started talking about the masterclass. Okay. So you did hear about I Speak Life Live. Okay. So let's talk about the masterclass. So really quickly, that is my, it's the second time I'm doing it. We went out after you talking about, okay, so we heard the majority. Oh, perfect. Okay. So you can go to beacons.ai/True Heart Speaks to get all of the details. The masterclass is $47. It's a no-brainer. I would encourage you to get in the room. Since I've been going live, I've been recognizing that a lot of the people who follow me, a lot of the people who are in my community, a lot of the people who are called to me are people who show up in a mighty and great way for other people, but not for themselves, which is really what today's conversation is going to be about. What showing up for you looks like, right? What showing up for you looks like. And so, excuse me, with that being said, the last thing I want to share really quickly is you may or may not be able to see this shirt, but I am going to show you the hoodie. I had it on earlier and I decided not to wear it. And so this is my new collection that I've had for a while. It is called the What Did God Say hoodie collection. I also have shirts. If you know anything about me, and maybe you don't, but one of my signature sayings is, "What did God say?" And so the Lord prompted me to go on ahead and make a hoodie and a t-shirt. And so this is the shirt so that you can all see what did God say. And so I have some in stock. I have some available for you to purchase. Extra larges are already sold out. I only have a couple of each size. So small, medium, large, 2X and 3X. The small, medium, and larges are 55. The 2X is 60, and the 3X is 65. So I would love, you can get those details here at payhip.com/True Heart Speaks. But if you go to the link in my bio, or if you go to the beacons.ai/True Heart Speaks link, that link will take you to everything. It'll show you the masterclass. It'll show you the live event in December. It will also show you the details on how to get this shirt or the hoodie. All right. Are y'all ready for some tea? And I mean like the real tea. Because honey, listen. So, hey there. Hi, Vicky. How are you? And those of you who are watching me on TikTok, welcome, welcome, welcome. We're just talking about all the details. Hopefully y'all are able to join. Is that Danietta on there? It looks like her. It says Dr. Peach. I think that's you. Today's tea is called Yummy Berries Kids Tea. Yummy Berries Kids Tea. Yummy Berries Kids Tea. And it has, let's see here, a luxury natural dried apple pieces, hibiscus, rosehip, natural dried orange, elderberries, dried black currant, rose petals, calendula petals, cornflower petals, and red thistles, and then other natural flavors. So see if I can like shake it up so you can actually see it a little bit from behind, because it's really like, if y'all could see like the in there, it's got the little blue. You see like the little rose petals and stuff. It's got like really fun stuff in there. So this is what we are drinking today. See that? It's actually I let it steep. So I think this is the elderberry and the hibiscus that gives it like the deep red. And just like it was earlier, it's really good. I did obviously put honey and lemon in it. And so, yes, it says, good afternoon. I need to join the monthly group. What's the monthly group? The Inner Circle? You can join the monthly group. You can join the Inner Circle. You can go to ISpeakLifeInnerCircle.com. Good afternoon, Lovey. ISpeakLifeInnerCircle.com. ISpeakLifeInnerCircle.com. Hey, Ramilda. Good afternoon. Good to see you over there on TikTok. All right. So let's talk today about this conversation around what does showing up for you look like? What does showing up for you look like? And I'm going to talk a little bit about what it looks like for me, because these last 16 days that I have been live have been personal for me. And it really is stretching me around like what it really looks like for me to show up for me in a new and in a different way. And so while we're talking, I would love for you to share in the chat and let me know, what do you think showing up for you looks like? What does showing up for you look like? What does showing up for you look like? I'd love for you to share in the chat before I get going. What does that look like for you? While you all are typing in your comments in the chat, I have one other thing that I want to share with you. I have confirmed dates for my upcoming Sabbath retreat in May, which is May 14th through the 18th. I will be making announcements at some point. I made announcements in the actual group. I didn't share the location. If you are part of my paid communities, we have a girls trip coming up in July, which is July 10th, 11th, and 12th. And then I Speak Life Live for next year is going to be December 4th, 5th, and 6th of 2020. So you want to put those dates on your calendar. Hey, Liz, how are you? Good afternoon. All right. So Tamla says, working on your personal and professional goals. Is that for you or just in general? Because I want y'all to I want you to think, like, what does that look like for you individually? What does showing up for you look like individually? So the first thing for me is slowing down. You all know that I am a proponent of resting, which is why we're going to be talking about Know Your Limit next week, prioritizing you, prioritizing rest for the masterclass, but really slowing down even the more. And so even as I am expanding, I'm finding that I really need to slow down to really figure out how I need to be moving in this new season. Why? Because thinking is important for me, rest is important for me, processing is important for me, and making sure that I'm not reacting versus responding, right, to a thing. Deanna says, I miss you, Deanna. She says, setting boundaries and taking rest when needed. Yes. Adriana says, resting and doing things consistently and being disciplined. Ramilda says, giving myself grace, encouraging myself the way I do others, resting when I need to. I love all of those. Those of you who are just coming in, what does showing up for you look like? And this is a personal question. What does that look like? Vicky says, resting, loving me more, saying no when needed. That's good stuff. Tamala says, for me, making sure things are done in the right flow. Yes, I know that that's important for you. Hey, Joyful Noise. How you doing, boo? It's good to see you. She says, saying no in all caps. She mean that thing, y'all. I love it. All of those there's no right or wrong answer, right? Liz says saying no to them and yes to myself. That's good stuff, right? And so for me, again, it means slowing down. And really making sure that I'm recalibrating, making sure that I am really checking in with myself, making sure that I am having good conversations with myself around, hey, how are you? What's really going on? How are you feeling? Showing up for me looks like going to therapy every Friday. I have a standing and 9:15 appointment. And so, checking in and making sure I'm good mentally and emotionally. It also looks like for me taking quick intentional actions. And that basically means no analysis paralysis and no overthinking. Do we have any overthinkers in the building? If you are, shout yourself out in the chat and say me. Anybody deal with the analysis paralysis? Anybody deal with overthinking? Anybody deal with like, man, like you want to be able to like, you know, you just like, ugh, right? Adria's like, yes. Ramilda's like me, right? And so I think it's important for us to be good decision makers. And for me, as I'm recognizing that being a quick decision maker, being an intentional decision maker, taking quick intentional actions. Tamala says all of the above. Listen, I know my tribe, right? It means showing up for me means I have to take quick intentional actions, right? And some of that, that's the second one, but the other one, Vicky says me, doing more things that may initially make me uncomfortable. And so when I'm doing things that may make me uncomfortable, Liz said me, Joyful, listen, we all saying me, right? When in order for us to take intentional action, we also have to be okay with doing things that make us feel uncomfortable. And so sometimes because it's uncomfortable, there's some decisions that I have to make literally in some instances between now and next Friday. One is this Friday, one is next Friday. And I'm a little uneasy about this thing here. But I also know that showing up for me means showing up and doing things that will grow my business, that will allow me to do more and better with the people who I am called to. Joyful Noise says procrastination at its best. This morning, God told me procrastination is fear in disguise. Child, listen, right? He said it, I didn't. And so how can you do more things that kind of make you feel uncomfortable, but you know you're supposed to be doing? Right? Have you ever hesitated on something, or you started overthinking some things that you know you need to do? And in some instances, have you missed out on it because you waited too late to take action? Anybody have that experience? Type a 1 in the chat, where your overthinking and your analysis paralysis caused you to miss out on something. Maybe not everything, but maybe 1 or 2 things or 3 things. Right, we got some ones over here on TikTok. We got some ones over here on YouTube. I'm sure we're gonna have some ones pop up on Facebook. Like, you missed out because you were overthinking. You didn't take intentional action. You let analysis paralysis overtake you. You missed out. Like, in some instances, where showing up for you means taking action when you're supposed to take action. Right. And so I'm not discrediting any of our ability to be able to slow down and rest or whatever. But I know Adri talked about being more disciplined, and sometimes being more disciplined means training ourselves to take decisive action. As a CEO of my company, I have been in prayer and really even listening to podcasts around what it looks like to be a concise decision maker, to be a smart decision maker, to be a quick decision maker, because in some instances you may have to make some decisions that are quick and uncomfortable, but are necessary. Right. We may have, and maybe not as a CEO, but just around your life, right? There's some things that you have to make some decisions on, like quick, but uncomfortable, but necessary. You got to make the decision. And so, again, I'm looking at things from a different vantage point around showing up for me means, doing things that, as we've said, I've seen this before, and I know many of us have seen it on Instagram or Facebook or anywhere where it says, the things that you do now, make sure that future you is thankful. Do things that future you will thank you for now, right? Then do things now that future you will thank you for. And so showing up for me means that I'm doing things that future me can say, girl, thank you. I'm so glad you did that. I'm so glad you took that uncomfortable step. I'm so glad you were more disciplined. I'm so glad you rested. I'm so glad you stopped procrastinating. I'm so glad that, You said no to them and yes to you. I'm so glad that you made sure that things are in right flow for me so that I'm not struggling, right? I'm so glad that you set those boundaries. I'm so glad that you rested. I'm so glad. I'm so glad, right? That you gave yourself grace. I'm so glad that you encouraged yourself in the same way that you encourage others. I'm so glad that you started doing things consistently. Like, what are the things that future you will be able to thank you for that you're doing now? For me, that's showing up for me. That's showing up for me. And so when I ask, what does that look like for you? I want to welcome you into this personal conversation and this personal journey that I'm having with myself over these 30 days, because I think it's important for us to really look at what that means. Right. And, again, like, what does that mean, for your relationship with the Lord? You know, what things do you need to release in order to fully show up for yourself, right? Joyful Noise says, forgive me, Lord, for not obeying hastily. Yeah. We talked earlier today about delayed obedience, because delayed obedience is technically still disobedience because we didn't do it when God said do it. But his grace is sufficient, and he's so gracious to us and merciful that he doesn't hold it against us, and he gives us time to do it. He gives us time to get it right, because he know we lollygagging, hemming and hawing around. And so, the other thing that I have been doing as it relates to showing up for myself has been renewing my mind. And I talked about this around decision making, but renewing my mind daily, sometimes throughout the day, as I'm venturing out in uncharted territory. And what does that mean? That just means that as I'm growing more as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, as a coach, as a consultant, as a teacher, as a preacher, as a strategist, and all of the, even as a mom, as I am growing, it is important for me to really be mindful of how I'm taking care of my mind, how I'm stewarding my thoughts, how I'm talking to myself. Showing up for me means being gentle with myself, but sometimes being firm and say, okay, how long are we going to keep doing this? We've been around this block a couple times. Like, let's shift this thing. Like, sometimes you need to talk to you the way you talk to other people, or the way you should be or you just should be talking in general, right? Like, sometimes you'll have a conversation, staying close to him and never getting out of his will, right? That's good stuff. And so how do we position ourselves to make sure that we're renewing our minds daily? What books are you reading? And so many of you know, back here I have the Emotionally Healthy Reader, leader. We're readers, our leaders. I read another book around leader burnout. And there's another book here called Chase the Lion. And so a lot of it is around fear. It's around mindset. It's around doing inner work so that you can show up in the way that you're supposed to show up. And so what does that look like for you? What does going deeper look like for you? What does going deeper look like for you? Right? Not just the surface stuff, but what does that look like? Right? Ramilda says, stop the cycles because we get the same result, right? And we call that insanity. And so, and sometimes we don't realize it until, again, we slow down. This is why for me, it's important to slow down, to get back to what I know, paying attention to the patterns, making sure that things are flowing. And then also, I think paying attention to the seasons that I'm in, like where I am right now, not letting myself off the hook. Like, how many of us let ourselves off the hook when and let's just say, sometimes what's the word that I'm looking for? I need to charge this because it's looking like it's trying to die. So y'all give me a minute. Let me rearrange this so that I can, just the phone that I'm on TikTok. I need to move this a little bit so I can put this charger here. It was charging, but I guess it wasn't. I guess it said, child, we've been on all day. We need a break. Give me a minute. All right. And then I'm going to put this over here because it doesn't always work when I do it there. Y'all give me 1 second. All right, I think I'm good now. So again, like, how are you holding yourself accountable? Or are you always letting yourself off the hook? Pull this down. That's showing up for you. Like, you might be holding everybody else accountable, but how are you holding yourself accountable? Like, what does that look like? How are you keeping your word to yourself? These are all things that I teach. These are all things that I've shared. These are all things that, you know, you have probably heard me say multiple times. But when it comes to really sitting with where we are, what does that look like? Right? Showing up for you could mean being kinder to yourself. Showing up for you could mean speaking a little bit more lovingly to yourself. Showing up for you could look like doing the thing that God told you to do without overthinking it. Like doing, what does this hoodie say? This is why y'all need this hoodie. Doing what he says versus what they say. Because a lot of times we let what they say sabotage what God says. Right? And so, you know, how do you hold yourself accountable? How do you speak nice to yourself? How do you take care of yourself? What are you feeding yourself? Like and here's the thing, showing up for you is different for everybody. When I asked one, as you saw, all of you have these different answers around what showing up for you looks like, but I think it's important for us to have this conversation. Because a lot of times and obviously if we were coaching one-on-one, we could go deeper. But I still want to have this conversation because I feel like as I am walking through this 30-day live stream process, there's so much that I'm being reminded of that I'm like, hey, wow, like I feel like I need to talk about this again to my tribe. I feel like I need to mention this. And because I'm in a different space, I'm like, man, like, you know, we grow, we expand. And so how we saw something 5 years ago may not be how we see it now. How we saw something 3 years ago may not, 10 years ago, right? And so what happens if we just leave ourselves where we were 10 years ago and we're still having that same mindset? The other part is showing up for you. It means being brave enough to leave certain parts of you where you left them so that you can become who you need to become now. Oh, that was good. Sometimes showing up for you means leaving you back where you left you, right? In some like in some spaces, it's like she can't come in this space because she'll be trying to sabotage, and I don't need her fear, and I don't need her trying to operate in survival mode. Like we trying to jump into the deep end. We're not trying to stay in analysis paralysis. I need her to stay right over there. She can watch, but she can't go. Or she got to sit in the back seat. You know what I'm saying? She got to sit in the back seat because at the end of the day, if she in the front, I don't need her talking. I need her to be quiet. Like, be careful of the language. Like, all of that is showing up for you. Is being able to not just tell the naysayers, but tell you, like, girl, be quiet. We not there no more. I remember having a conversation with one of my private clients, and there was kind of like this epiphany that over time I had the Lord had revealed to me to reveal to her that some things you no longer have to do because you're safe. You are no longer in survival mode. And she cried like a baby because I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in a space and you've been there for so long that once you start to come out of it, you're like, you don't realize that you're no longer there no more, but you know you're not there anymore. Like, you know you're not talking the same. You know that you're not moving the same. You know that you're not thinking the same. But those same habits and behaviors sometimes tend to creep in because you're like, I've been here for so long that I don't necessarily I don't remember the point where it shifted. And so sometimes you need somebody on the outside looking in to say, listen, you're not there no more. I'm still live, Stephanie. Hey, love. She's like, replay. And so, yeah. So like, in what ways can you talk to yourself and remind yourself that you're not there anymore? That you're not hurt anymore, or him, because there might be some gentlemen watching. And in that, how you respond to certain things is no longer out of survival, that you're actually thriving now, right? And so, and if you find yourself in a space where you are still maybe in survival mode, what does it still look like for you to show up for you? Right? Because you still got to do the work. You still have to take action. You still have to rest, right? When time allows. You still have to renew your mind, right? You have to decide like you're going to do things differently. Hey, Adrienne, how are you, lovey? And so, like, what does that look like? Right? I want you to sit with that. I want you to let marinate in it, right? And let it speak to you. What does showing up for me look like? Taking risks, like jumping into the deep end when I've been playing around in the shallow end, right? Does it look like, betting on me when I'm always betting on everybody else? Does it look like, what does it look like? Going to bat for me in the same way that I'm going to bat for you, right? Listen, she says, I just got a message about Tuesday Tea with D and I Speak Life Live registration. I love this. And so, like, but what does that look like? What does that look like? Because at the end of the day, yes, but that's automation, right? She's like, I just got the email for one another. Yes, that's automation. So while I was live, I had emails scheduled that went out. Going as hard for myself as I do for others. Yeah. And again, I can't answer that question for you, but I wanted us to talk about that today because I want you to, again, get out of your own way. Stop settling. Stop self-sabotaging. Maybe like me, you got to kind of go back to where it started, and really sit with that. This is where I built my community. This is how I built my community, going live every single day, talking to y'all and listening to you and seeing, what it is that you have going on, and starting with like masterclasses and monthly coaching calls and different things like that. Like, I wasn't nowhere near where I am now, but like I started somewhere. And so I had to go back to that because I just felt like that's where God was leading me. So when he gave me that mandate, it's like, boom, Monday, you going live 30 days. Let's stop playing around. Some of you all need that. Some of you all need to talk to yourselves like that. But I'm grateful that the Lord deals with me like that, because analysis paralysis, and I'm hemming and hawing around when I'm going to start, how I'm going to start, all that kind of stuff. And the Lord was like, we're not doing that, child. Monday. Monday. Right. Joyful Nay says, I'm exhausted by the time it comes to me, which is why you need to be at my masterclass next Thursday. For those of you who are just coming in, I'm hosting a Know Your Limit, Prioritizing Rest Masterclass. I'm going to pause for a second and just put this up really quickly so you all can see this. And I'm going to put the banner up so that you'll know where you can go. I will also drop it in the chat. And like I keep saying on TikTok, I don't know where to put that on my link. Just go to my link in bio, right? And you'll see the details for the Know Your Limit Masterclass. But you can go to beacons.ai / True Heart Speaks in order to get those details. And like I said, I will also put those in the chat as well, because you need to be there. You need to be there. I'll put this link in the chat right now so that you all can have that. And if you register, she was like, I can send flowers. All right, there you go. It's a Thursday at 7 p.m. And so I put that in there for you all. So you have that in the chat. You can register. And like I said, you can link bio on TikTok. But if you are resonating with the fact that you may not know your limit. And again, so let me say this, if you already registered the last time, you will have access to join again. If you did not register, then you're going ahead and register. just because y'all already paid to be in the first one. So I'm not gonna make you pay to be in the second one, even though there might be some good nuggets in there. So if you want to come, the invitation will be extended to you as well. But again, I think it's important for and maybe showing up for you is knowing your limit, right? And so if you know you're exhausted by the time it comes to you, then the question is, what does it look like for you to prioritize you so you can prioritize rest? Right? What does it look like for you to make time for you? And so we talked a little bit about that last week, around, the 7 things that I learned, um, around showing up for you. I'm trying to think when. I don't think it was. I think it was one of the days that I went live, and I can't remember what day it was. But again, I just think that it's important for you to prioritize you, right? And again, if you're waiting until, that's why you're exhausted, right? Because you're waiting to for you, you're giving so much of you to everybody else that you're also waiting, thinking like, oh well, I'll wait until the end. And no, what you need to do is how do I need to show up for me first so that I can show up for them? Right. One of the things that I shared, and I don't know if I shared it in the last masterclass, I think I did, for the know your limit, and I'll share this here, is that a lot of times, we end up, with the short end of the stick, when we're giving and giving and giving and giving and giving and giving, not realizing that, yes, it's great that you can be a giver. Yes, that you're called to give, all that kind of stuff. But and I did an analogy last year at I Speak Life Live, and I actually shared it, I think, on my TikTok. I also shared it in a reel on the other pages as well. And those of you who were there will remember I talked about how we carry all these bags, we carrying stuff that don't belong to us. And so when we're carrying things that don't belong to us, it makes it harder for us to carry what's ours. There's no space for us to carry what's ours, right? And so you can't receive if your hands are full, right? And so it's like you're asking God, like, God, I need X, Y, and Z. And the Lord is like, well, I would, but you don't have no room. And so again, when we talk about the know your limit piece for next week, next Thursday, and if you can't come live, register so you can get access to the replay. Thank you, Stephanie. This is the other shirt. Were you on this? You weren't on this morning. So I'm selling these. I only have 2 of these shirts left, a large and a small, but I also have these hoodies, which I know you don't like, because you don't like hoodies. But these are the shirts that go with the What Would God Say? What Did God Say? My What Did God Say brand. However, let me get back. But you're carrying stuff that doesn't belong to you. And so for one, Joyful Noise, I expect to see you next Thursday at that masterclass. But for 2, I really want you to think about what it looks like to show up for you. That's part of showing up for you, right? Not exhausting yourself, taking care of everybody else, and then you only have the short end of the stick. Like you only have a little bit left for you. Buy it, because I can't hold it. Just go into the link that I shared below. You can go there and you can purchase it. And if you purchase it, then I'll send it to you. But I can't hold it for you, because if somebody goes in and gets it, then, but go to the link that I shared. Hold on. I'll share this link in here as well. I'll share the Beacons link so that you Yeah, so I'm not holding any hoodies or any shirts. So like the extra larges are already gone in the hoodies. If you want a specific size, go buy it. My prayer is that I can sell all of these out by Friday. I just have had this inventory and I haven't done anything with it. And so showing up for me also means sharing what I have and what I do, and trusting that those who want it will buy it. Like sometimes I think we also overthink around what we have and what we have to give people. And it's like, man, like, how do I do this? And I was just like, child, we're just gonna put it out there and we're gonna, we're gonna let the people do what they do. I have a couple of other when you go to the site, you'll see it's a couple other things that are on there. I think maybe 1 or 2 other things. I have more hoodies than anything. But I have a couple of shirts. And so I think I have one of my signature black shirt, two of these, the large and the small, and then the rest of, like I said, the hoodie. So at any rate, I could keep talking about this. Stephanie says, yes, that was a great illustration with all the bags you're carrying. There's no room for more. Yeah. If you all are specifically on TikTok, if you go and you look for, I don't know what the name of the video was. Let me see. It's on TikTok. It's called Still Carrying What Doesn't Belong to You. And you got to scroll down a little bit. But if you look there, and then I have to see if I can find it. But at any rate, it was the analogy that I gave. And so I think, again, if you're carrying things that don't belong to you, or you're carrying more than what you should be carrying, you need to be at, I can't get the link in the comments. No. Well, you can't get it. You should be able to get it on Facebook on my business page. Or if you're on TikTok and you exit out of here and go to the link in my bio and click the link in my bio, it'll reveal all the things. And that's for everybody. If something doesn't pop up in the chat and you can't click the link, whether it's on YouTube or whether it's on LinkedIn or whether it is on Facebook, you can access it via the link in my bio, or on my page. Or it is, I believe it is in the, I believe it is in my post. So it should be in my post. If not, I'll share it, and you all, whoever wants it, you can have it. Okay. So before I let you guys go, before I pray us out, how was today? Your homework, right? Coach D is going to give homework. I want you to sit with this question. What does it look like to show up for me? What does showing up look like for me? Or what does showing up for me look like? Let me say it that way. What does showing up for me look like? After we have had this conversation and we've talked, I want you to think about, what does showing up specifically for you look like? And take some time to journal, and think about that. And then I also want you to think about, like, what's one thing that you can do immediately. So remember, we're talking about taking quick intentional action. What's one thing that you can take quick intentional action on? Besides signing up for my masterclass for next Thursday. Yes, I'm going to put that in there, and getting a hoodie, right? If you can't come to I Speak Life Live. But what's one intentional action, quick intentional action you can take that starts to alleviate analysis paralysis and overthinking? All right. So let's pray so I can let you go. And in the meantime, let me know what your thoughts, your takeaways are from today's conversation around today's question. So Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Father. We say thank you. We say thank you. We say thank you for this reminder of considering us. I think sometimes we think loving our neighbor as ourselves means giving so much more to our neighbors versus ourselves. But the reality is when we do that, does that really mean, if we're loving our neighbors more than ourselves, then what does that say about us? And so I pray, Father, that as we've had this conversation today, and even as I am digging deeper around what it looks like to show up for me, I want them to do the same. And I pray that you would give them revelation. I pray that you would allow them space to sit quietly. I pray that you would give them time to marinate in this conversation. I pray that they would be able to be okay with the initial discomfort of this question, and even the initial discomfort of what it is that maybe you are calling them to do, and how you are calling them to show up for themselves, and really mainly show up for you. Right? When we say showing up for ourselves, I think it really is a representation of us showing up for you, right? When we're doing what you have called us to do, when we're doing what you have told us to do, it is showing up for us, but it's really showing up for you, right? It is not being delayed in our obedience. It is not overthinking. It is trusting you and trusting that you have everything figured out, even when we don't. Trusting that you have already ordered our steps, trusting that when you have called us to a thing and called us into a thing, or maybe called us out of a thing, that your way is better. And so, we thank you that showing up for us, and showing up for ourselves is also showing up for you. And so we're gracious and we're thankful and we're appreciative of that, Lord. We're grateful, oh God, for your grace and your mercy. We're grateful for your patience towards us. We're patient, oh God, towards your love and your kindness towards us. We're grateful, oh God, because you don't have to be. You're giving us time to figure it out. You're giving us time to get back on track. You're giving us time to recalibrate. You're giving us time to reset. You're giving us time, right? And even being in this space, God, you're giving us a reminder of some of the things that maybe you have said to us, or that you have given to people to say to us, or things that maybe we have said to ourselves. And so I pray, Father, in all of the things that we have talked about around what it looks like for us to show up for ourselves, I pray that analysis paralysis, procrastination, I pray that disobedience, I pray that overthinking, I pray that the discomfort of it doesn't keep us from doing what it is that we need to do. And so, God, I thank you for this day. I thank you for this tea today. I thank you, Father, God, for being with us today. And so we just magnify you. We praise you. We lift you up. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, y'all. So, so that was the tea for today. I will be back next week with another dose of tea for Tuesday Tea with D. And tomorrow we'll be back live at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for day 17 of my 30-day live stream challenge. And so if you've been missing out on that, we've been live every single day at 8 a.m. And so, if you're sleeping, you can catch the replay. If you miss it, you can catch the replay. If you forget, you can catch the replay. And I promise, even though this is a personal challenge for me, can I just tell you that there have been some really good nuggets that have been dropped that you can pick up, right? Like you can pick up what I'm putting down. Even today's conversation, right? I just feel like, we are just in a space of reflection, right? And here's the other thing, like, we're done with this month on Friday, which gives us 2 more months for the rest of the year. And so what does showing up for you look like for the rest of the year? For these next 8 or 9 weeks, however many weeks we have in the year, what does that look like? I think Sunday officially was 65 days until the end of the year. So like when we talk about like holiday parties and all of the things that, like, we talked about this earlier today, like the resentful yeses. I think we talked about this today. I've been talking about it all the time, but the resentful yes, like when you say yes, but you really want to say no, you should be, again, registered next week so you can get in on that. But the holidays are coming up, holiday parties. Like if there are things that you're just like, man, like I just don't know that I really want to do all of that. How are you showing up for you? Are you showing up bold and saying no? Or are you going saying, I don't even know why I came? Right? Or are you compromising and saying, well, I'll just go for about 30 minutes when you really don't want to go? You really don't want to go, but you're going anyway. And so think about that, right? How you want to close this year off and how you want to start 2026 showing up for you. What does that look like? I want you to think about that. And so with that being said, remember, I Speak Life Live is happening December 5th, 6th, and 7th, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. If you are not registered, there is still time and space for you to get in the door. If you want access to this shirt or if you want access to this hoodie, the links are in the chat. The links are in the caption. They are in my bio. And so you can actually get those as well. If you, I'm not going to say if you, I plan to see all of you all next Thursday, November 6th at 7 p.m. for the Know Your Limit Masterclass, especially if you did not go to the first one. If you went to the first one, then child, and you want to come, you'll be invited. You can decide whether or not you want to come or not, because I'm going to add you to the automation. And so you'll get the information regardless. But it's $47. It's literally a no-brainer. You get limited access to the replay and watch it, go over it, whatever it is that you need to do. But again, the details are there as well. And then more importantly, just plan to join me next Tuesday for Tuesday Tea with D. And then also tomorrow for day 17 of our 30-day, and I say hour because y'all been joining me, 30-day live stream challenge. I'm live on Facebook and I'm live on TikTok. And on Facebook, I'm live on both my personal and my business page, versus True Heart Speaks is only on Tuesday Tea with D. Okay. All right. So I love y'all. Y'all have an amazing day. And I will see y'all next time on what? Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. Tuesday Tea with D. I will see y'all next time. Take care.